Hi friends, so I'm back with another video on tea. I wrote a blog post a while back on 3 things to do with tea you don't like, and I actually got some really good suggestions from it. And I thought today I'll do a video on 3 things you can do with tea you don't like, plus a few bonus tips. Okay, so the first tip I have is that you can age a tea, or let's put it aside. So this tip's best for teas that are meant to be aged, like a white tea or raw pu'er. So raw pu'er, as you may know, this is a dragon ball. They are start off really bitter and astringent, and apparently their flavor ages quite rapidly. So as long as you keep it in a cool, dry place, away from direct sunlight, away from strong smelling objects, you can actually keep it for quite a long time. I don't think you can age like black tea or like oolong. I know there are people who do claim to have really old oolongs, but I'm not sure what it does, because you do need to refire them after a while, right? But even if it's not a white tea or a pu'er, or you can still put it away and then come back to it later, because you may change your taste for tea. So first tip is to age it. The only tea this can't really apply to is green teas, because they have a higher water content, so if you put them for too long they just get stale. Second tip is to cold brew it. So to basically brew it in something that is not water. Like I have made this. Okay, maybe a bit hard to see. I have this. So this is actually a rooibos, caramel rooibos cold brew in milk. There are some teas like Earl Grey that I can't really take too much bergamot, or I don't like super strongly flavored teas. So for me, actually making them in some way that it's not that doesn't use water, it's great. Like I tried Earl Grey gin and tonic. I had an email from Bird and Blend, like one of their newsletters, and they suggested things like lemonade, apple juice, oat milk. I think those are really fun. I'd like to try them one day. I've brewed things in milk and in tonic water and in gin, and I really like those. Like I do like them more. You can definitely do all these, by the way, with teas that you like, but for teas that you don't like, sometimes adding milk helps to, especially if the teas you don't like it because it's too strong in flavor, it helps to sort of rub the worst of the edges off. And yeah, like this caramel, I thought it was really really sweet when I had it plain, but with milk it's just like a sweet latte. Very good. Like you don't even need sugar for this. My third tip is to basically bake it. So I wanted to make brownies, but I got distracted and I made these are Earl Grey shortbread. And if you are like me and extremely distracted, you end up making these are green tea shortbread cookies. So one thing about tea leaves is that you can actually just bake them into things quite easily. For the record, I'm not like a super professional baker. I only started baking as a hobby during the circuit breaker here, like regularly baking. Not I'll bake like once a year and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I need help. It's not things that I've made with tea that I found very useful, that I really liked, was like panna cotta. So you can just infuse the tea leaves into the hot milk and then strain it out before you make the panna cotta. Scones, you can either infuse it into the milk, or you can, in the case of like powdered green tea, or if you don't like matcha, I guess matcha, but I use powdered green tea for this, right? You can use you can just rub it in. Like this Earl Grey, actually I didn't infuse it, I just blended it with the flour. So there's scones, there's shortbread, there is cake. I saw a recipe for a brownie tea and biscuit cake. I will try to remember to link it below. Let's see what else. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with it, and I would actually say that, for example, one thing is that you may not have like the specific ingredients. So what you can do, like maybe it's not Earl Grey, maybe it's a different kind of tea that you don't like, right? So just Google for like say Earl Grey cake, or like Earl Grey biscuits, or like the specific thing you want to make, and then normally they'll give you an ingredient. You can just substitute a different type of tea inside. It's not an issue. Like a lot of times I just Google for like Earl Grey blah 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 blah, like cake or scones, and then I'll be like, okay, maybe I don't have a Earl Grey right now, but I want to finish up this green tea, or I want to finish up this lapsang or something. Then you just use it inside, then infuse it in. It's fine most of the time, especially if the feature of the tea was that it's going to be like tea infused, right? So those are my 3 tips. Age it, brew it in something that's not water, and also bake with it, right? I did have a few more tips from people. So one, May suggested you could make kombucha with it, which I think is a brilliant idea. I have not thought about that. So kombucha apparently requires Scooby. I'm not sure. I think Singapore has some. So that one, do check out like blogs that are more expert on this. So kombucha is an option. And then someone else, that would be, just like scrolling, I think Jill, yes, Jill I also linked to her blog, right? She has a really cool tea blog. She said use it in cooking. So she suggested like say lapsam sochong for like anything with smoky as like a dry rub or to infuse inside. I think that's really cool. I have not tried cooking with teas that much. I've seen some recipes, but it has never really been my thing. So that's something that I also want to try in the future, especially if I get like I don't know, I was thinking green tea might be cool. Like sencha has some umaminess that works in well, right? So those are like two bonus tips that you can use to either cook with it. If baking is, I don't know, I always see baking as a separate category, right? Or you could, I mean, worst case, have a tea party and you find some people and maybe they like that tea better. I wouldn't say like just give it to strangers cause you've opened it, you've tried it, but have a tea party, you can just serve it. Maybe your guests will love it, and that maybe you could be like, okay, take the rest back. I've definitely done that. Maybe, yes, I have. Yeah, so those are my 3 tips. I hope they were useful, and I will see you soon. Bye.